I'm focused on the spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about this video that's it's going viral on TikTok of a young woman who decided to announce that she broke up with her boyfriend. And the reason why she broke up with her boyfriend is because he did not stand up to misogyny, and that's not what happened. That's not what happened. She crashed out because basically he wouldn't bully some kids about President Trump. So I'm like, this is insane. This is crazy. Let me see if this is a parody account. So I went to the account. It didn't look like it was a parody account. I don't know how long they'd be playing the game. And I watched some other videos and very much focused on leftist woman-centric stuff like abortion and so on. So I think it's real. I don't know if it's a real story, but she's crazy enough to put it online. I want to talk about it. Also, American Eagle spoke out about this Sydney Sweeney ad, and they, doubled down on it and said, they stuck to their guns on that. And so good on them. And we'll also be talking about some other things as well. Man, the EPA, the Democrats are mad about the EPA and Donald Trump, and Brian Stelter had wrote a tweet like, they're deleting things about climate change and they're doing this and they're doing this. And then this one guy I follow was like, it's great, isn't it? It's great. Like, they're really doing their thing. Not perfect, but hey, he's going strong. Let me see if I can find that tweet really quick with Brian Stelter, so I can quote it accurately. I guess it's not a big deal. Anyway, I hope you guys had a nice weekend. I, of course, was in church. That's how I spend my weekends at church, and that was really nice. Other than that, I have Motor City Comic Con coming up later in this year. I think it's in November. I will be having a release party for my big book, Bigger. If anyone is local, I live in Michigan, you're more than welcome to come. Or if you want to travel, more than welcome to come. It's going to be in my sister's studio. And if you would like to get some of her art, you're more than welcome to get her art and stuff too. It was important for me to be able to showcase my book and also people be able to look at her art. And then she got her studio. I'm like, oh, everything is perfect and has worked out. So that'll be coming up. I'll let you guys know when I will be releasing that book when I have a date for that. Thank you guys for your interest, and for those of you who've gone and supported her live as well. Now that I have you here, let me ask you a question, or at least just put this in the atmosphere. So my sister does painting classes too. So she's my artist for my children's book. It's not in reach, but for my book, Bigger. And she'll be doing some more picture books and stuff for me. She did my cover for, of course, God is blatantly against abortion. Let me pop that up really quick. I've shown it a lot, but it's a beautiful image with this hand of this baby reaching out to the hand of God. So she did that. So she teaches people how to paint. And so she'll have a session. It's maybe 2 hours or so, where she'll teach people how to paint different things, and you only need 3 brushes, and she just uses 4 colors and teaches you how to mix the paints and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it might be fun because you guys know I'm a proud big sister and I want to help my sister. But I thought it might be fun for us as a group, as an audience, to participate in that on an online thing. So she's gonna start trying to do it online. And so I was wondering if we wanted to do a black tea painting party. Would there be people who would be interested in participating in that, paying I don't know if she's going to be able to sell kits of the paint or whatever that you might need. She might just tell people what to buy on Amazon, and you click and you go buy it yourself. But maybe like a fee, like a small fee or whatever. I don't know what her fee will be, but we'll just say it's a fee. I don't want to get ahead of myself. To do a painting class together. So I've actually not done one of her painting classes. I painted in high school and I was pretty decent at it. I'm sure if I put in the work, I could be an incredible traditional artist. I just have not really done that since high school. I've just moved to the realm of like digital stuff all the time and graphic design and so on. So um it's out of my wheelhouse and I haven't done one of her painting classes, but I've seen her teach people who legitimately aren't good at those things. And they've come out with some good work. So I think she's a really good teacher and I think it'll be fun. So if anyone is interested in that, you can, let me kind of know if you know you'd like to participate in the paint. Maybe it's not something you normally do, but it'll be fun to sort of hang out. And I would like not we wouldn't have to all do it live. I don't know. I guess we could vote on it. We'd all, or maybe not, but I'd probably like have an invite to like into my StreamYard session and maybe we could just record it and then it'd be kind of like a Zoom call, sort of, and she could help different people like while we go about it and follow directions and so on. So it would be a cool like group task, I think. So I just wanted to put it out there that I'm thinking about that. And if you're interested, let me know if it sounds neat. I know some of you watch her paint live. Anyway, if you like what I do, you guys can support at blacktnews.com and you guys can check out cool stuff like the book that I mentioned, of course, Guys Blatantly Against Abortion. That's one of my many books. Two of my books that I have that are nonfiction, most are fiction. You guys can also check out different mugs and shirts and so on the website as well. If you want to support, you guys can go to the website and donate. And when you do that, I very much do appreciate it. And it does very much help as well. So thank you very much. Alrighty, so I want to show you guys this amazing video that I came across last night. And I'm surprised that it's still up. But maybe she's getting her views and stuff in and likes humiliation. I don't know. I definitely would have never posted it. And there's some accounts, big accounts, because I've seen people react to it. And then I saw the original video. So it's getting around for sure. I haven't done a reaction to it yet. But this crazy broad decided to say on the internet that she broke up with her boyfriend. And the reasons to which she gave are genuinely off. Really, really off. So I'm sure you guys will appreciate another crash out from a liberal woman.
I broke up with my boyfriend, someone I love, someone I have known for over 10 years, because he didn't stand up to misogynistic young men when he was given the opportunity.
Now, what gets in your mind, like if you didn't come for the intro and you didn't hear me explain it, if someone said I broke up with my boyfriend because he didn't stand up to misogyny, like what would be in your mind to break up with someone that you love and you've known for 10 years? There could obviously be reasons, like let's say there were guys, I don't know, harassing a woman, saying sexual things, maybe I don't know, glorifying rape and other things like that. Those are things that I would be livid about, especially a guy not standing up for women or whatever. That's like, oh, your manhood is like withering away anyway at that point. So I don't know if I can look at you and you can be sexy anymore anyway. So that's not what she's gonna say. That's not what she's gonna say at all. let's
I
continue.
had just finished watching Adolescence, a miniseries on Netflix that essentially talks about how boys are being more and more radicalized online, how parents aren't paying attention, and how it's really up to men to help solve this problem because there's
So, the show Adolescence, there was a big controversy about it because people believed it's a show on Netflix, and people believed that it was about a specific like case where a black kid murdered someone, and on the TV show, like, they're white. And the creators of the show claim that it's not about a specific incident, but it is about men and misogyny and so on. There was a lot of pushback on the right and folks talking about like race swapping. You want this story, but you don't want to be honest about it being a black kid. And the creator's like, no, it's not about a specific case. So I just wanted to throw that background in there, if you remember that controversy or not. But that doesn't really have much to do with anything other than, I guess, maybe it was fresh in her mind.
they're surely not going to listen to us. So we were walking to the farmer's market, and right behind us were two boys, probably 13 or 14 years old, and they were saying things like, Trump is the best. What has he ever done? He has more followers online. I don't get why no one would like him. And I was seething because my 6'4", handsome, white privileged boyfriend wasn't saying anything. And so finally I stop, I turn around, and I get right in their face. And I said, he's a fucking rapist. He's a certified fucking rapist. And they go white in the face. Boyfriend, still just standing there, not saying anything. Once the boys get their bearings, they say something like, Trump is my daddy. Trump is your daddy. And I was furious. I had a full-blown crash out. I took my full morning latte and I smashed it on the ground, and I grunted and yelled and walked away. And he's like, what's the matter? You're the matter. Not even the boys so much. Him, because he had an opportunity to stand up against misogyny and he fucking didn't.
Okie dokie. So I see lots of problems here. I see lots and lots of problems here. Okay. They're grown people, and she's talking about some young boys, and she got right in their face. She decided to get right in their face because they were talking about Trump's the best, whatever, etc., etc. I have overheard liberals talking about politics in passing, like I'm walking around the mall or whatever, and there's two white women talking about Trump and not liking him or whatever. Do I go up and crash out and be like and spreading misinformation or the things that aren't true or whatever within their conversation that I could fact check them on my jog or whatever. But I don't do that because it's really annoying. It's just really, really annoying. I'm a stranger. Right? And I'm certainly not going to get in their face and crash out and throw my latte on the floor. That's insane. That's insane. It's real brat behavior. One time I went to Applebee's. It wasn't that long ago. It was when they had like the $10 burgers. They got rid of that, but it was like you get for $10 you could get like a bacon cheeseburger, and it's a restaurant, so it's a decent sized burger and fries and a drink. And so I think I was about to go on a fast or something. I was like, let me eat this, or I think maybe it was coming off of a fast, and I was like, let me get something. So I went to Applebee's, and I'm enjoying my burger, and and right behind my booth are two girls, not so different than her, chit-chatting about, misogyny and abortion and things like that and so on. And that's my topic. y'all know that's my topic. Did I just do a full like 360 in the booth and just start evangelizing my political views? No, I didn't. Because I'm at Applebee's. and I'm in my space and they're in their space. So yes, we're in a public space. Well, it's a restaurant. You know, it's not our space. I'm there to eat a meal. They're there to eat a meal, and they're having a private conversation. It, it's so weird. It's so weird. Now, if there were people like at a march or something, I might feel so inclined to ask them some questions, probe them a bit. But Applebee's, the mall, just chilling. No. People need space from all of this political drama. There have been instances where I overheard some people saying some stuff and I'm with somebody and then we start talking about politics so they get over here and we can kind of watch their reaction to our conversations. I've done that before. Sure. Especially like if they're white libs and then they hear like black Republicans talking and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these Negroes, you know. Yeah, I've done that for sure, but not just berating random people in public. That I'd be embarrassed to do that. Well, I wouldn't do it. I'd be embarrassed to do it. And I'd certainly be embarrassed to go online and talk about it. And the audacity to think she's in the right here. So there are all kinds of comments. And I did post some under this. I'm the one who posted this on Twitter. So if you guys want to go find this and react to it yourself, it's on Twitter. Let me I'm gonna have to read it from my phone though. It looks kind of small. So people are asking like what did she expect? And she said all I wanted was for him to say in a calm direct way. It's unlike what she did because it doesn't sound like she was calm. Dude, you know he's a rapist, right? At one of the many opportunities we had while waiting to cross the streets. Then I'd kiss it. You're just waiting to cross the street and you want to just get into political arguments with people. It's just crazy. And I know they're kids, and because I don't think that she would feel one, she's with like a man she said was 6'4", but people wouldn't feel so inclined to talk to people who I think that they would find intimidating. I think she felt fine maybe doing that to kids, but one time during the whole like pandemic stuff, and this is when you could go shop but you had to wear masks or whatever, or people were like sticklers on wearing masks and stuff. And so my sister worked at a store and she had like this liberal woman who worked with her, and she would wear masks and stuff. She would get like all her political information from TikTok. And this was before like TikTok was like really huge and stuff. So that was like bizarre, really bizarre to me. But I'm like, she doesn't get her news from other places. um so she's in her algorithm or whatever. So she would harass certain people who came in the store about wearing the mask or not. So she didn't know that I was related to my sister. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go in the store and I'm gonna go in without a mask because I know she's not gonna say anything to me. And I didn't come in all like aggressive or anything. I just came in there knowing that she wasn't gonna say anything to me because I'm black. I just knew that she wouldn't do that. And so then she didn't say a peep about it. Like she was aggressive with like other white folks who would come in, but to me, not a peep about it. Not a peep. And so she later found out that, you know, I was, you know, one of the manager's sisters or whatever. And then she asked her, like, did she know about the mask? And she's like, yeah, she knew. Like, she knew. I sure did. I just knew she wasn't doing anything. It was a test. It was a test. So some of these people who come online and be all aggressive, I know y'all don't bring that same energy with everybody. You just do it to who you think you get away intimidating and crashing out at. And she happened to be with again a 6'4" man, you know, trashing some kids. Okay, so anyway, let me start over. All I wanted was for him to say in a calm, direct way, dude, you know he's a rapist, right? At one of the many opportunities we had while waiting to cross the street. Then I'd kiss him on the cheek and we'd keep walking. But he did nothing after agreeing to be the kind of man who would say something when young boys, impressionable boys, show signs of being red pilled. But he didn't. And that's why I crashed out, because of his inaction at the easiest opportunity. Obviously, I hate that those twats got everything they wanted and that my boyfriend's inaction brought out the worst of me. I don't crash out like that. Sure you don't. But sure you don't. Oh, we don't believe that. But if he couldn't stand up to teenage boys in front of me, that told me everything I needed to know about what he'd do in the presence of grown misogynistic men in my absence, which is nothing like most of the chicken bleep cowards in these comments. I've never said I wanted him to yell or escalate the situation. I just wanted him to do what he agreed he would do. You're already like freaking out at these kids. I don't see how anything else like wouldn't be an escalation, especially again, grown man kids or whatever who just also found it amusing to troll her and say Trump's your daddy, Trump's your daddy. It's very difficult to argue with kids online about stuff because just for, even if they aren't crashing out or trying to troll you, I don't want to sound like ageist or whatever, but some of them just can't track and don't reason well. I was debating someone. I don't know if they're a teenager, but they're a young woman, about abortion last night, and it was the argument was essentially she thought it was silly that I believe that fetuses are alive because if you took them out of the womb, they would die. And I'm like, yes, living things die if you kill them, or just living things will die. Or if you put a living thing where they're not supposed to be, they'll die. But just because you die, obviously doesn't mean that you weren't alive to begin with. And then eventually she blocked me. And then, but before she blocked me, she wrote, say all this to my face. And then she blocked me. And so I went on another account and I wrote in the comment, like, replied, I'm like, you said say that to my face and then you blocked me. And then she deleted all of her comments, I guess. But it's, sometimes it's not worth it, like arguing with young folks, really, you know? Now, sometimes kids got more sense than adults. Like I remember during 2016, I was doing the tour across the state, you know, for getting out the vote with Trump and, you know, different folks on the ticket in Michigan. And we came back in Lansing where the office was, and there was a Black woman and her kids, and they saw us getting off the bus, and the bus had like a wrap that I designed, by the way, with, you know, Trump's name and all different candidates that we had and stuff. So it was clear what we were doing. And so the kids started asking me questions and I started like saying stuff, and the mom was like, and they're like, no, just listen to her, just listen to her. Like, and I'm like, who taught these children? Because it wasn't her. And so, but you know, she didn't want me talking to her kids or whatever. Like, so I was like, okay, back off. And she was quite aggressive. But a lot of times, you know, going back and forth with kids is just not kind of worth it. But let's address the real kind of issue here. She's mad at her boyfriend because he didn't explain to these children that he was a certified rapist. And I replied to her in this long comment, and she didn't reply back to me, which she has a ton of comments. I don't expect her to reply back to me. But I just asked, I'm like, why do you believe he's a certified rapist? And someone else replied to me and said, because he was convicted of it. And I said, that's not true. Not only is that not true, that's why George Stephanopoulos and ABC had to pay Trump millions of dollars. It's literally not true. I know what they're talking about. They're talking about the E. Jean Carroll case. If you're not aware and it's news to you, listen. She accused Donald Trump of raping her, and he said, "That's crazy. She's crazy. I didn't do that." And so she said, "Well, he's defaming me." And so it wasn't a criminal case. It was a defamation lawsuit, which has a lower standard of proof, right? And even with the lower standard of proof, the jury was still like, "I don't think that he raped her." But they did at least find him liable for sexual assault. I guess because, I don't know. My theory is they just wanted to get him with something, but they couldn't, at least in good conscience, give him the rape thing. So you'll see people or hear Democrats who are like up in power or something, not like your average person online talking about this on TikTok or whatever. They'll have very careful wording, like Michelle Obama or whoever. They'll say that he's been found liable for sexual assault or something. They'll use that specific wording, because if you're like George Stephanopoulos and you keep claiming to Nancy Mace that a jury found that he raped her, and that's what the judge and all them found, it's literally not true. Not only is it literally not true, it's the opposite of what happened. They didn't accept the rape allegation. So no, he's not a certified rapist. It's not true. It's not true. So she's upset with her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend. Good for him. Seriously, good for him. She's mad at him because he didn't get down in the faces of these children and lie on the president of the United States of America. She's just wrong. She's just wrong. Now, I think it's funny that so many people base their worldview and their emotions off of things that are just absolutely false. It happens all the time, you know. People in religion and politics, but it's just really wild with politics. Things that have been, that you could easily look up, that shouldn't really be up for debate. At this point, it really shouldn't be up for debate. And like you could debate things, and there's never going to be like real proof for maybe some things in life, but and I guess it's possible that he could have done something that we're just not aware of, that hasn't got out and been like proved. But if your evidence is the E. Jean Carroll case, that he's not a certified rapist. That's not what the courts found. So if you're upset enough to break up with your boyfriend that you've known for 10 years over that, the problem is obviously you. I mean, it was obvious the problem was her, but it's you. It's your sphere of information, wherever you're getting it from. That's a problem. So I was curious about this broad. And so I started looking up some more for videos, because I'm like, this isn't outside the realm of possibility. My first kind of gut reaction was, I want to make sure this isn't a satire page, because sometimes people do stuff to go viral, whatever, and it's just satire, and you can go and you look and you see stuff. Like there was a really, really viral thing about someone complaining about Trump cutting their food stamps, and it went all over TikTok. And I went to the page. I'm like, oh, this is parody. But I went to her page. I'm like, okay, this seems like a real page. And then she had like a playlist, and it said like relationship stuff. And so I'm like, okay, this seems like she posts normal stuff. And in the relationship stuff, like I start scrolling, and there's automatically like videos about the subject of abortion. Like the first one is like condemning pro-lifers for saying, I've never known someone who's had an abortion. And she's like, well, you absolutely have. You're just a judgmental jerk who they just can't be honest with. And I'm like, I know she's not talking about being judgmental. I know she's not talking. And then I scrolled through and watched another video, and then I scrolled again. And then she had a video where she was holding abortion pills, and she's like, this is how you decouple yourself from a loser and from this and that and that and that. But the decoupled from a loser was the first thing. And she said the craziest stuff about the abortion pill. And one of the things that she said is that it's safer than Tylenol. Now, I have seen secular pro-life reply to that sort of phrasing. I've seen people like make that claim online, like written down sometimes. I don't think I've ever seen those words come out of someone's mouth and like mean it. So just FYI, the abortion pill is not safer than Tylenol. It's not. How they get to that conclusion is that there's more people who go to like the ER or whatever due to like aspirin or something. But that's not because the aspirin is so dangerous. You have to consider the amount of people. There's a lot more people who take aspirin, or Tylenol or ibuprofen or whatever than people who go have an abortion. Like, I would never take an abortion pill. I guess outside of the case of maybe I had a miscarriage and they wanted me to try to flush it out with a pill. I guess I'll preference that, but like not to kill a baby. But if I take a Tylenol and you take a Tylenol, everybody, all these people in the world take Tylenol, there's going to be just a larger number of people who are taking that anyway. But the issue is that some people take more than they should. So when people take more than they should, then yeah, they might end up in the ER. But if you take the correct amount of abortion pills, you could still have a complication and die. I mean, you could have some kind of allergic reaction to the Tylenol and stuff, but it's definitely not safer than taking Tylenol. Like, I had to take some yesterday. I had a wicked sinus headache, and I woke up with it, and I think, I don't know, the air quality around me is bad because there's like fires in Canada and stuff, and I think it's supposed to be bad until like at least Thursday or something. I don't know if that's all the reason. I didn't have sinus problems until like maybe 2 years ago, and it sucks. It really sucks. I don't like it. I never used to like throw up or anything, and it's just, I don't like it. Y'all can take that back. Like, how do I return that? But I had to take some ibuprofen, and I took some before church, and I took some like after church because it was my niece's birthday. She turned 8, and I took a little nap between like church and going to Olive Garden where we had her little party, and it was a little nap. I only had like 30 minutes, and when I tell you I was ticked off, like within myself, I didn't crash out at anybody, but in myself, I'm just like, I really want to sleep another 30 minutes, and I'm upset that I was awakened. Like, I know I need to drive people to this restaurant, but I don't feel good. And within myself, I'm like, I'm tired, I'm in pain, and I don't want to go. And then I sucked it up and I went, and I felt better. And my niece loved the jewelry that I got her. But I'm glad that I went. But anyway, I had to take medicine. And people take that without thinking that anything will happen. But Amber Thurman, for example, she died after complications from the abortion pill. And she had twins that she aborted, and she didn't make it. She had complications. So it's just not true. So anyway, she's very passionate about things that aren't so. Is that a line from like Ronald Reagan? Like it's the issue with the liberals, they know so many things that aren't so. I think that maybe that's his line. It's just like the immigration stuff. I've talked about this many times, but when Trump had the debate with Joe Biden in 2020, it was supposed to be their third debate. It ended up being their second debate. And there was a story that had just come out about children who hadn't been reunited with their families, who come over, across the border and stuff. And so Trump said, there are people who come over who are not related to the folks they come over with. They come over with coyotes. And so people on the internet, and I mean like David Hogg, who was briefly elected into Democrat Party leadership, and then they like ousted him because he was white or something for diversity reasons. There were elected officials, like state elected officials, who said crazy stuff, and so many other people on Twitter who were mocking Donald Trump because he said coyotes were bringing children across the border. And they're like, how can an animal bring a child across the border? And then they're like, is he talking about like Wile E. Coyote? Like, what is he talking about? Now, if it were me, I would have Googled it before I tweeted it. But people were so, I don't know, anxious to trash this man that common sense didn't have time to filter through. It was really incredible. And I don't try to let politics stress me out too much. I mean, there's outcomes that happen that you don't like, for sure. But there are times, there haven't been many times when I've been like grieved and like really concerned for our nation, because the people you don't like will get elected, but you hope you can turn things around. You can be active locally and so on and make a difference. It's people act like it's always the end of the world. Maybe there are some points of, I don't know, inflection points, like the Watcher shows up and it's like, oh shoot. Like, ugh. Maybe there are moments like that, but it doesn't mean it's the total end of the world and you can keep working or whatever. Maybe that's like, I don't know, an optimistic sort of religious view. Like, well, we got to just keep tearing until Jesus come anyway. So let's, but, that was a time when I was grieved, like when I was like concerned about the stupidity of the nation. And if you didn't know what a coyote was, I don't blame you for not knowing, but if you're one of those people who tweeted and you didn't look it up, I do shame you. I do shame you. And there were a lot of people. So there's a collage that I have somewhere on my computer or something of all these people. Maybe I have it saved on here. What really floored me was that so many people were so upset about the immigration issue. Now I don't have it saved on here. Somewhere in my computer, I'm sure I have it, but there were so many people. It was like their number one issue that they're so passionate about, but they don't know this thing that there's a lot of people coming without their families. The Trump administration had to like do like DNA tests like on site. Like it was a real problem. And they believed it so much. This thing that wasn't, all these facts about immigration that just weren't true. So Trump eventually was, I guess, proven right with many of the things that he was saying about immigration. And that's why so many people give him such grace now with this issue. You could think maybe they're taking it a little too far and they're not doing proper due process and all this stuff. But the country as a whole are still giving a lot of grace and a lot of high fives in dealing with this issue, because they saw what happened when things got really out of hand, when people stopped enforcing the laws, when all these sanctuary cities, didn't report these people and these, folks who illegally crossed the border or overstayed their visas or whatever, continued on after having different records and weren't deported, and people ended up killed. Not just killed, but murdered. There was a story the other day where there was a family, a mother and her child, who were killed. Let me read this to you guys if you didn't hear this. A new DHS confirms that the suspect arrested for killing a mom and her daughter in a head-on car crash in a sanctuary state of New Jersey is a Mexican illegal alien who had been arrested for 2 DUIs in New Jersey in April and March and had a domestic violence arrest in New Jersey in 2023. So domestic violence, DUI, still roaming around, driving the car, head-on collision, and killed this mother and her daughter. The mother was killed instantly, and the daughter, she died later at the hospital. Raul Luna Perez has now been charged with Raul. Maybe is it Raul Luna Perez has now been charged with 2 counts of vehicular homicide after police in Lakewood, New Jersey, said he crossed into the oncoming traffic, crashed head on into another car, killing Maria Pleitez and her 11-year-old daughter, Dianara Cortez. ICE has placed a detainer on him with local law enforcement. DHS says he entered the U.S. illegally as a getaway at an unknown time and location. DHS is blasting New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy in a statement. Governor Murphy and his sanctuary policies released the serial criminal into New Jersey communities. Now this innocent family is shattered by their failed leadership. President Trump and Secretary Noem will continue to do everything in their power to remove these criminal illegal aliens before they destroy more lives. And you can say, well, there's other people who do DUIs, there's other people get in a car accident, and it'll still remain the fact that this person is illegally in our country and shouldn't have been here, and also committed crimes while he was here, and knows that he could be in the sanctuary city, and they're not doing diddly squat. And these 2 people are still dead. And I believe that this mother immigrated legally into the country, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard that, or maybe I saw a report that mentioned that. And to think that you have illegal immigration causing the death of people who's here legally with her daughter. So it's just terrible. It's terrible. So because of stories like that, people give Trump a lot of leeway, because we learned what happened when hyper emotional folks were driving the narrative, the news, cameras, Time magazine, little girl crying on the cover with Trump just looking down, even though the little girl was never separated from her mother. We know the emotional manipulation that they pushed on the American people for so long, and the damage that it did, and we're still trying to unwind it all. Now the border, they're killing it with the border. And I don't think they're probably even deporting people fast enough. And he's still like kind of soft in my opinion. Like, he's like, we're not going to deport certain people who are picking agriculture. And it's like, I don't think you should just pick and choose like that, bro. Like, anyway, but because of their enforcement, people aren't crossing the border like that. They know the border's closed, like shops closed. You can't just do anything you want in the United States right now. Now, Democrat gets back in, that can all easily change. So you might want to keep that in mind next election. You might want to keep that in mind. But we already experienced the emotional manipulation and ignorance of the left and their consequences. So just like all the people who were very emotional about the issue and didn't know the facts about the immigration stuff back in 2017 and onward, this girl who's so upset at her boyfriend because he would not tell young boys that Donald Trump is a rapist. We have a certified rapist president. And let me just say that if that were really true and we all knew it, and it was like proven, and he was a convicted rapist, and it was proven in a court of law, and we all just decided to be like, yep, we still want him to be the president. That would be so awful and such an indictment, I think, on our country. So it just says a lot. It just says a lot. So it's incredible that we still have to correct this lie. It's really, really incredible. Anyway, moving on. I do want to point out something from American Eagle. So, hold on, I'm reading a comment. One thing that gets me about liberals right now is a mentality that Trump only does bad and no good comes from him. The fact is, every president does some good things and some bad things. None are perfect. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. I mean, in the opposite's also true. Like, some people like idealize some folks, like Reagan, for example. There's a lot of like love in conservative circles for Ronald Reagan and stuff, but he wasn't perfect either, and he made some decisions that ultimately had some bad effects. I mean, he was soft on legal immigration, and kind of look at California. So, and people talk about him for no fault divorce and some other things. So he he's got some great lines, and he was went at the commies. So nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. But anyway, I want to revisit the Sydney Sweeney situation, which we talked about it quite a bit last week. It's funny because there's kind of liberals pretending like they weren't flipping out about it. And there's a bunch of headlines. It's not just folks on TikTok who are saying things like, this is a eugenicist ad, that people were writing about it in major publications. And now they're kind of like, oh, well, it's the right who's talking about it. We're talking about you talking about it. That's how it became a conversation. But anyway, Sydney Sweeney was in an American Eagles ad. And it was like, a sexy ad. And she's like, I've got good genes. And, I understand Sydney Sweeney's like hot stuff. And they opened up an American Eagle in the mall. And right out in front is that image of Sydney Sweeney with her jacket like upside down, not upside down, but it's on wrong, with the back being on the front so it can cover her breast, and her back is out and stuff. And I'm like, I get it. I understand why that's a sexy photo for the dudes and stuff. And I see people, their stock rose, and folks were going out buying jeans. And because of the controversy, I saw people online that I follow saying, I haven't bought American Eagle in years. When I talked about it with my sister, she said she never went into like American Eagle because they didn't have tall jeans when she went in there. I don't know, it was the last time she went in American Eagle. I would assume by now they should have tall jeans, but I've never had American Eagle. Well, they probably don't make it for fat people like that. Probably outside the demographic. But anyway, they did this ad, and it blew up, and people were saying that it was like pro eugenics, which was madness. And so they were saying, well, because you're saying she has good genes, and you're talking about her genes are blue, talking about her blue eyes and so on, then that's rude, that's mean, that's eugenics, and you're trying to uplift, blonde-haired, blue-eyed women, which she's not blonde, she's brunette. She dyed her hair. A lot of people dye their hair. Beyonce's going around with blonde hair, guys. So is this Beyonce a white supremacist? Like, come on, guys. It's a pun. Like, have you guys ever heard a dad joke before? Maybe there's some different literary concepts are, too much to beyond some of these people, but surely people have heard of dad jokes, right? And puns. So she does have good genes because she's like attractive, but she has good genes because they're American Eagles. That's the whole point. So anyway, they wrote on social media, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. is and always was about the genes, her story. We'll continue to collaborate. I'm sorry. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their American Eagle jeans with confidence their way. Great jeans look good on everyone. Boom. So, guess what, Black people? You're allowed to go get jeans. I saw a TikTok where someone was like, "Oh, I can't go in American Eagle because I'm Black," and then someone did a reply video and they're like, "Well, I'm Black. Let me go in there," and they got themselves some jeans. And I thought she kind of like from like off the street, like quick video. I'm like, they should probably maybe do an ad or something with her because she kind of had big. She just and she was thin and had beautiful dark skin. She just if I was American Eagle, I would at least repost her video. Be like, yeah, you look great in your jeans. You got great jeans too, So that's the campaign. So I'm glad that they doubled down. I'm glad that they doubled down on that because too many people walk back the stuff that they say for no reason and they didn't mean it the way that they did or people have their conspiracies. Again, people will be so upset over something that they're wrong about, but the whole world has to stop for their feelings. Whole world has to stop. And what's funny is that I did a video. I haven't posted it online anywhere besides TikTok, but I was just like, if you're upset about the eugenics in this, why aren't you upset about the eugenics of Planned Parenthood and disproportionate amount of like Black babies, Hispanic babies, etc., who are killed by abortion, so on? Why aren't you upset about that? And Down syndrome babies and all this other stuff. And then people are like, oh, a Black Republican talking about white supremacist talking points. I'm like, everything I said was true. Like, Black people are disproportionately killed in abortion. Like, what are you talking about? That is the reality. The founder of Planned Parenthood was a eugenicist. She wanted to limit the population of minorities. It's just a fact. She wanted to do that more by birth control. The people who came after her were more of like abortion advocates, but she's the founder. People have written articles saying we're done apologizing for our founder because they realize that she's so problematic once information started getting out. I'm like, go look up Buck v. Bell, a case where there was a woman who was forced to be sterilized because they deemed her to be like dim-witted or whatever. And it was like her, I think she was adopted by maybe a cousin, a family or whatever. And the son like sexually assaulted her and she's the one who ended up like sterilized. And you had people like Margaret Sanger who praised the ruling. just awful stuff in our history, unfortunately. That just happened. And I'm spewing white supremacist talking points because I don't want people to be killed based on their race or income or or development. Like, that's wild to me. Like, it's just rhetoric. There's no real thought. It's just rhetoric. So anyway, kudos to American Eagle. Oh, by the way, Reddit was going crazy because they said that Cindy Sweeney was a registered Republican in Florida. And I think it was Michael Knowles who said, who the heck thought that she wouldn't be a Republican? Now, I don't know if she is or she isn't. But who cares? Who cares? It's just a jeans ad. She's just an actress. So maybe there's one who's not a Democrat. Okay. So, like, it's not like she said something so personal to destroy, aimed toward audiences that she doesn't like. It's not like she's Rachel Zegler. It's not like she's Chris Evans and said, I can't wait till these people die off like dinosaurs and still expects people to go and pay to see them. It's not like she did anything like that. She just might be a registered Republican. Okay. In Florida, their governor, like him or hate him, He won by like 18 points when he got reelected. It was crazy numbers. Ron DeSantis is a competent governor. He's a very competent governor, whether you're Republican or Democrat. There was no like real opposition to put up any kind of real fight against him when he ran for reelection. He swept that thing. Deservedly so. And I hope whoever's next, I don't know, can follow his example, but I don't know. He's pretty goated. He's pretty goated. Last thing I want to show you guys before I let you go. I mentioned how the EPA put forth some new rules, and the EPA, they're rolling back their control over regulations, and CNN reported. I'm not sure, know so much on this broadcast. I'm about to show you guys this clip, but they did a headline where they talked about how the EPA is. Let me see if we can find it real quick. Yeah. Did you see the sleight of hand by CNN here? The headline that reads the EPA is revoking findings that claim pollution harms health. Seems terrible, right? Of course, pollution harms health. Except in the body, the findings weren't about pollution at all. EPA. So this is the headline: EPA administrator defends administration's move to revoke 2019 finding pollution endangers human health. But in the body, it actually says the 2009 scientific finding that human-caused climate change endangers human health and safety, which has been served as the EPA's basis for many of its significant regulations aiming to protect the environment and decrease climate pollution. If successful, the repeal could strip away the federal government's most powerful way to control the country's planet warming pollution and fight climate change. Again, it's funny that they're like, oh my gosh, the administration, they want so much control. They're trying to roll back control so companies can go out and survive without the federal government pressing on their neck. If there needs to be a law that's passed, you literally elect people to go do that. They're your senators, they're your congresspeople. Oh, except when they defund Planned Parenthood, because then judges go out of pocket and decide that they actually don't matter and that they can sue and that you have to fund what they want you to fund. So anyway, Lee Zeldin, who I wish was the governor of New York, but he went on CNN and just clown them.
Do you accept the overwhelming scientific consensus that these greenhouse gas emissions are the biggest drivers of man-made climate change?
Well, it's great to be on with you. First, it's worth pointing out that all 8 or so images that you just posted on the screen have nothing to do with this week's announcement. What was the 2009 endangerment finding had to do with regards to mobile sources vehicles. This week's proposal to rescind the 2009 endangerment finding was with regards to mobile sources vehicles. CNN's been using a lot of photos where they show smokestacks of stationary sources like power plants. That's not what we proposed. Now, going back to 2009, the science that they were reviewing included both optimistic to pessimistic scenarios. To reach the 2009 endangerment finding, they relied on the most pessimistic views of the science. The great news is that a lot of the pessimistic views of the science in 2009 that was being assumed ended up not panning out. Hey, that's great. We can rely on 2025 facts as opposed to 2009 bad assumptions. The other thing, too, is that at EPA, we don't just get to creatively make the law whatever we want it to be. The Supreme Court ruled in Loper Bright, overturning the Chevron doctrine, West Virginia versus EPA, Michigan versus EPA, that agencies like the EPA can't just use vague language in statute and try to make it be whatever we want it to be. The major policy doctrine also says that when you're going to reach something like an endangerment finding and then have trillions of dollars of regulation, that's something that should be decided by our elected members of Congress in passing statute.
Yeah, so just full on blinks there from CNN. But they try. Anyway, that's it for today. But this guy Moochie said, did you notice that Hunt, who's a CNN commentator here, doesn't ask if those 2009 regulations actually did anything effective regarding climate change? That doesn't even cross her mind. She simply demands blind religious observance and skips over the pertinent details. And it is very religious to these people. Again, people are just so devoted to the thing that they think is true. And they're upset when people do not blindly devote themselves to the ignorance that they espouse. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream, run my site, all that good stuff so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch that's available on the store. You guys can also check out different books that I have, like Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear. I have some books that are historical fiction, fantasy, and children's chapter books and so on. And I also have my book, Of Course God is Blatantly Against Abortion, that's available. There's a link in the description. It'll take you to the Amazon page where you guys can check that out. So go ahead and check that stuff out. Thank you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.